months.
Yes.
Yeah, that's awesome. How's life?
I have lots of things to do at work, but I could figure something out before I went home today. So hopefully I can finish all the work that I have left to meet the deadline, which is next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday. Wow, so not that far away, right? Just a couple of
Yes,
days.
yes, just 2 days.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. How do you manage deadlines? Do you just try to finish as much as possible in one day, or do you divide up your days? Like, I will finish this and this by today, that and that by tomorrow. Is that how you do it? Or
I usually divide all of my tasks in lots of small tasks, and I try to finish as many of them as possible in one day.
that's awesome. Yeah, I think making a big task into smaller tasks is a lot easier. They
Yes,
actually, I think, teach that to people who learn about the most efficient way to finish work. So it's good. I'm glad you like it. Or
yes,
I'm glad you have a plan, I guess.
yes.
Yeah. And let's see. Did somebody else join?
Yes, we
Yes,
have
Hey,
surveyed.
hey, Servet, how's it going?
it's going okay. How about you? Hi, Ek. Hi, hello.
Hi, surveyed.
Hi, welcome again.
Yeah,
Good to see
yeah.
you.
Nasılsınız Servet?
İyiyiz efendim. Yes.
Ben de efendim. Ben de iyiyim efendim. Evet. We are speaking Turkish, Eka. I speak a little bit of Turkish, so I wanted to practice with Servet.
Okay.
Yeah. It's good to see you again, Servet. How's life in Istanbul?
It's pretty good. Uh, yes, it's a good day. Pretty clear sky, hot, warm day. And I'm here studying. That's cool.
Nice, nice. That's great.
How about your
Um,
day?
yeah, everything here is good as well. Just learning a lot about different things and working hard. Not, nothing different. Nothing different from that. So yeah. Let's see. I wanted to ask you guys. So today's lesson, we are going to be looking at um, environmentalist problems throughout the world, right? So many times we see environmentalists that are that encounter different types of issues when when they see that the environments are under threat or different things are happening to different environments. They are very keen to report on those things, and um, they usually make a big deal about whatever threat the environment is going under, right? So, and I think environmental threats happen in most countries, or at least most people have ideas about what that means. We are also, at the same time, as we look at that, we are going to be practicing our polite questions. So when we make questions in English, we want to make sure that we have a nice and respectful way that we ask them in a nice and respectful way. And there are usually some key things that we can look to when we do that, right? So um, I wanted to start out by doing that actually. How would we? Oh, okay, let's see. Liliana just joined. Hey, Liliana, how's it going?
Hi, Farhan, is that the way I pronounce? All is going good. Thank you.
Great,
How's the
great.
day going?
Things are great. Things are great. I am just working on some work. Otherwise, and besides that, things have been really good. So I was just saying, Liliana, about the idea of polite questions in English. When we use polite questions, there are several rules, several keywords. There's a formula to creating a polite question in English. So I want to actually start out by asking you guys, let's imagine that you are in a restaurant. How would you order something at a restaurant? So let's start with Servet, please.
Mm. You can just say, "Excuse me, may I have some drink, or may I have this, and this?"
Yeah, exactly, right. Excuse me to get your attention, or to get the waiter's attention, and then you can say, "May I please have, this drink A, B, C, D," right? Fantastic. Eka, how would you say let's say you are I'm going to change the scenario just a little bit. Let's say you are on the street and you're lost and you need to ask somebody for directions.
I would say, excuse me, could you help me get to this place, getting to this place?
Uh-huh. Fantastic, right? Could you help me get to this place?
Okay.
After you say, excuse me, could you help me get to this place? Could you help me, um, you know, could you help me with my task or, things like that? Or could you help me find where something is, right? I think that's the best way, actually. Could you help me get here, or could you help me find the bus station or something, for example, right?
Yeah.
So perfect, good, good. Uh, and let's see, Liliana, um, let's say somebody stole some of your belongings, and you have to tell the police what happened. But it's a very busy station. People are doing all sorts of things. You come to the police station, and how do you get their attention and report that something was stolen from you?
Mm, uh, Excuse me, could you? I have a. I just let me think.
Sure.
Someone stole my belongings. So could you? Could you attend? No, I don't know how to say that. Um, could you attend me? No, I don't know. It's an urgency. I had a problem because someone stole my belongings.
Uh-huh.
Uh, but I don't know how to say. Could you attend me first or something like that?
Could you can say, for example, could you please, something, or you can say, excuse me, officer, my bag was stolen. Could you please help me file a report? Or could you
No.
could you please help me file a report? Could you please help me report this theft, right? Could you please help me report this theft? Many different ways, right? Or could you please help me find this? Or could you please help me, submit a report, file a report that says that, this was stolen from me, right? So many different ways that we can say the same thing, really. I guess one of the good things that I saw among all of you guys is you guys utilized the use of, could you, a lot of you guys said, Servet said, may I, right? So may and could, and then starting the sentence with excuse me, right? Also saying things like please, right? These are some of the big things that we look at when we are trying to find out what is good, right? So great, great, that's fantastic. Any questions, guys, about those initial questions that we made?
Yes, I have a
Yeah,
question.
sure.
For the situation that you gave to Liliana,
Uh-huh.
is it okay for her to say to the office, may I have your attention, please?
May I have your attention, please? That is something that actually people say that if they're maybe in a large group and they want to get everybody's attention. Um, for example, if it's a party and if you're the host or if it's a concert and you're on the stage, right? Things like that, it's a little bit more appropriate. Could I please have everyone's attention? Or let's say before a speech, right? Like somebody's about to give a speech, everybody's in the auditorium, people are talking, but they're all, they're all there for a reason, right? They're all there to either watch a movie, see a show, attend some kind of a party. We hear that more for events. In a police station, in a busy location where people aren't arriving at a venue to watch something or see something or take part in an activity, um, we would actually not use that, right? So we would say this would be something that we would say to a large group of people if it's an event of some kind. Does that make sense,
Okay.
Eka?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, no problems.
And sorry to interrupt.
No, go ahead, absolutely.
And if I say I had a problem, so to, as a cap said, to catch their attention, because for example, I am in a long line, so I have to wait. For example, maybe 15 minutes or 20 minutes to say that if they attend me first or help me please first, it's not a good idea to say that.
Could you, so for example, you're going up to, what would be your strategy? Would you go to one person?
No, in this case, when I just was stolen, and
Something was stolen,
and I went to the police station, and there were full of people. So can I say, could you please help me first?
Yeah, you could say that. Could you please help me first, right? Maybe you're seeing, or maybe there are a lot of other people, okay? So like you get there and you see there are a lot of other people. So you can maybe tell the other people, excuse me, this is an emergency. Can I please speak to them first, right? Maybe there are so many people there with, other questions or other things that are not very serious, right? You can try asking them, excuse me, this is an emergency. Can I please speak to somebody first, right? Can I please speak to somebody before you, right? Things like that, right? Can I please speak to somebody first or before you, right? The key is this is an emergency, right? Somebody before you. You can say this is urgent. This is urgent is not very. It doesn't sound as serious as this is an emergency, right? So we would use this as an emergency for this kind of situations. Especially, think about it also if somebody gets hurt, right? If somebody gets hurt, not just the police, but if somebody gets hurt and you have to maybe call an ambulance, right? When you're talking on the phone, right? This is an emergency, my friend is hurt, whatever, that can help make the process much faster for you also.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Any other questions, guys?
No.
Okay, we're good then. That's good. So let us look at the grammar lesson then, guys. What happens when we are actually witnessing polite questions in the making, right? How do we actually make them? What's the construction? So first, I think it's important to just quickly see the difference between a polite question and a non-polite question and an impolite question, right? So if we say, for example, let's say we need somebody to close the windows because it's very cold outside, right? If you're with your friends and family, if you're with people who you can be very frank with, right, you can say, will you close the door, right? Or just close the door, or close the window, right? Will you close the window? Close the window, right? You don't have to say please. You don't have to say could you, right? Because they're people we know, our friends, our family, maybe our children. We're not necessarily polite with them, right? It doesn't really matter. But if you are speaking to an older person, if you're speaking to whoever in your society, requires that level of respect, right? Different societies have different levels. Different cultures have different levels. In the U.S. or I would say in most Western culture, if somebody is older and if somebody is more maybe, has children or seems older and you're on a different level than they are, then you would be respectful from the beginning, right? So the example of a respectful question, like all of you guys said, could you please close the window? It's really cold. Could you please close the window? Right? So could you is a very general way to ask about something, right? Could you please help me? Could you please close the window? Could you please show me how to get to this location, right? Um, so, and then the other option, and this is something that generally I don't use because this is something that I mostly see waiters and people in the service industry ask, right? And this is when you are using did you. So you're using the past tense to make a request more polite, right? If you are serving somebody, right? If you are serving somebody in your home, or when you are at a restaurant and somebody is serving you, like the waiter, right? You can use the did you, the past tense form, in those instances, right? So let's say somebody comes to your house and you give them, you know, refreshments, tea, juice, snacks, whatever, right? And then they have started to eat or they've started to drink. You can ask them, did you want some sugar with your tea, right? Did you want some sugar with your tea? So very basic, right? You could also say, you know, um, would you like some sugar, right? Would you like some sugar? Or did you want some sugar with your tea, right? I see this relationship, the did you, almost always when somebody is serving somebody else, right? And actions have happened in the past, right? So the person already received his or her meal, right? And the waiter comes back, did you want ketchup with your sandwich, right? So this is how we use the past tense. And then generally we can use could, right? Could you please help me? But if we're using something that is in the past tense and you're asking somebody if they would like something, then we would use would instead of could, right? So would you like some sugar? Would you like some ketchup, right? Or did you want some ketchup? So any questions, guys, about that, about those two types of constructions? The first type was if we use could, just generally, and the second one was did or would.
No question for
No
me.
questions? Make sense,
No,
guys?
it's clear.
Okay, great, fantastic. So then the next part is, so we can also use can, right? Can and could. So remember how could was very general, right? Could you please help me? Could you please show me, right? Can is also another word you can use, but could is more polite. And we can use can and could in the exact same way, right? Can you please show me how to get to the bus station? Could you please show me how to get to the bus station, right? And then we can always add please after our sentences to make them much more polite, right? I always say I tend to be more polite than normal, especially at the beginning if I am first meeting a person. Excuse me. If I'm meeting a person for the first time, I start with excuse me, and then I say please at the end, right? Excuse me, could you please show me how to get here, please? Right? So you can use both. You can put excuse me at the beginning and please at the end, and that would make it extremely polite, right? And then can is a little bit less polite than could, but it's still used it's very frequently used in normal conversation, right? So any questions, guys, about the difference between can and could?
No.
Make sense?
No.
No.
Okay,
Yeah.
great, fantastic. So let's then, I'm going to pause here, guys, and I want us to use some sentences or make some sentences. So first thing I want to do is let's go around and let's use either did or would, right? So did in the past tense and would be in the present tense, right? Let's make some polite questions using did or would in the context of that you are serving somebody who has come to your house, right? So that's the scenario. You are serving someone that came to your house. You can use did in the past or would in the present. Let's start with Servet on the left.
Yes, let's ask Liliana, did you want your Turkish coffee with some milk or without milk?
Fantastic. Did you want your Turkish coffee with milk or without milk, right? And you know, this reminds me, Servet, when I first had Turkish coffee,
Yes.
I had the very bitter version. I did not want milk, right? And it was impossible for me to drink.
Yes, me too.
Yeah, it was so thick and so not sweet. So it was extremely bitter for me at the beginning. So I should have asked for milk, right? So, but great sentence, right? So that's exactly what we want to see. Eka, let's go with you, please.
Would you like to have fried chicken or grilled chicken?
Fantastic. Would you like to have fried chicken or grilled chicken, right? And this is actually something that, Eka, you have demonstrated that I forgot to mention, right? If you use did, then the action had to have happened before, right? Because did is a past. So if you serve somebody food, then after that you can say, did you want milk with your Turkish coffee, or did you not want milk, right? But in the case of would, since it's the present, you can ask this at any time. You can ask this before the person even gets the food, right? So, you're giving the person the menu. Would you like the fried chicken or the grilled chicken, right? So, fantastic. Would, because it's present tense, we can use in any part of the conversation. Did, we would have to use after the food has actually been served, right?
Okay.
Yeah, fantastic. Great job with that. And Liliana.
Would you like the hamburger with sauce or without sauce? Because it's kind of because when I went to Spain,
Uh-huh.
I said to the shop assistant in a fast food place,
Mm-hmm.
and she looked at me like it seems weird to her because I always order my hamburger without any sauce.
Uh-huh.
So
But the thing is, oh yeah, what did she say after that?
and she said no, and finally when she gave me the order and I unpacked the hamburger and I see that it had all the sauces. So I went to the I went to the bar or to the
Up to the counter, yeah, the
to
counter,
the
right?
counter and said to her, I ordered my hamburger without any sauce. And she said, you only said one sauce, and you have to say with any sauce.
Uh-huh.
And yes, because we have some little difference between Spain and maybe my country.
Uh-huh.
For example, if I order in this way here, they understood what I want.
Uh-huh.
But they're not. They say no. You say only with sauce. That it indicates one sauce.
Uh-huh.
I say,
Wow.
okay.
So then did you order a second
Kind of
sandwich?
sauce. Yes,
Uh-huh.
with any kind of sauce. I said to her in Spanish. Because
Explicitly, uh-huh.
yeah, because she's Spanish too, but they order in a different way. So sometimes I have problems. I had problems
Uh-huh.
because when I order, for example, would you give me a coffee? We say here tinto. Tinto is a black coffee.
Uh-huh.
Maybe they will give you a glass of wine.
Uh-huh. That's interesting. But
Yeah.
after you got your sandwich, did you ask for another one then without any sauce?
No, no,
You
no.
just had the one that they gave you?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah. I know
So she
sometimes
was
that happens.
a little upset with me because she had to order another hamburger.
Uh-huh, uh-huh. No worries. So yeah, so then how would we make a sentence? Oh, actually, you already asked. You already said that. Sorry, Liliana, I keep forgetting. You said, "Did you want your?" Or I'm sorry. Did you use would or did you use did for that sentence?
Would.
Would, right? Yeah.
Of course.
Would you like sauce with your hamburger? Yeah, or without sauce, right? In the U.S. actually, so I'm going to teach you guys something that we use that's very, very colloquial, right? In the U.S., you can say when I order food, right? If I had the same situation, Liliana, I would say, please, I would like the hamburger, no sauce.
No.
Okay,
No sauce.
just very simple, no sauce, right? Or sometimes, like let's say there are multiple layers of food, multiple types of sauces, which I think maybe was your scenario, right? So let's say a burger comes with ketchup, comes with mustard, comes with mayonnaise, and also comes with relish. Okay, these are four common things that people eat. So you have ketchup, mayo, mustard, and relish, right? So then, if you want to be 100% sure, 100% sure, in English we would say, I would like the hamburger, no ketchup, no mayo, no mustard, no relish, right? You put no in front of everything, right?
To
And
emphasize.
yeah, right. And then they would usually what they do, even at McDonald's, even at a local, very fast food kind of place, they say once you say that, they confirm the order. Okay, no ketchup, no mayo, no mustard, no relish. Fantastic, right? And people say not only for this kind of stuff, people have the most outlandish requests in this country. I mean, they are so specific for food. People say no onions, but just a touch of vinegar. You know, no onions, but just a touch of vinegar. Sometimes I feel bad for these people that are making the sandwiches, right? Because to me, a touch of vinegar is very small, right? But if you have a large sandwich with, a lot of bread or a lot of meat, then do you put just in one part or do you put a little bit on all the parts? You know, what does just a touch mean, right? It's difficult in this country, right? People are very interesting. And the other thing that we use, this is even more colloquial. We would say hold the and then blank, right? So hold the ketchup. Hold the ketchup. I don't want the ketchup. Hold the ketchup, right? So, but this is much more colloquial and it's not as polite, right? Saying no ketchup, no mayo, no mustard, no relish, that's normal. It's not polite, it's not impolite, right? But sometimes people, when they're at a fast food place, they tend to kind of be bossy, right? They tend to order people, right? Like in the U.S., it's very common to see, like if you did not get that sandwich correct in the U.S., you could have made a large scene if you wanted. You could have made that into a big, big issue, right? Because they do that. Fast food employees are often they have very difficult situations, right? When they face people. But hold the ketchup is a little bit less polite, right? Hold the ketchup, hold the mayo, hold the relish, right? Stuff like
I
that.
don't want that.
Yeah, but you'll probably hear it in the U.S. You hear it a lot. You know, I'm so surprised when I go to just the normal restaurants. Sometimes how rude people are. They don't say please. They don't say anything. They just get me the number one and no onions. So it's a very interesting situation. Uh, any questions, guys, on what we talked about with these examples, with these questions?
No, only one. What is relish?
Relish is like pickles with maybe salt, some kind of combination. It looks green. It's actually very delicious. Usually I eat relish with my sandwiches. Actually, I avoid mayo, mustard, all that stuff. Even ketchup I don't eat, but I really like relish. There's a picture of that relish right there.
Okay,
Oh,
thank
yeah.
you.
Yeah. Hey, Akka, how's it going? Or Ken, how's it going?
Yes, I'm fine. I just finished, kind of a one-on-one class.
Nice, nice, fantastic. Welcome. So we were talking, Ken, about making polite questions. Would you be able to give us an example of a polite question with
Mhm.
did or would in this case? So did would be the past tense, and would be the present tense. Like for
Yeah.
example, at a restaurant, if you're at a restaurant, yeah.
A restaurant.
Like, yeah, let's say, yeah, or if you want to use did, let's use a restaurant. Otherwise, for would, you can do whatever you want.
Okay. Did for restaurant and uh, did did for politely use did.
Yes, yes, exactly. Did using
Did you
politely.
maybe we can say did you pass me did you bring me the water?
Yeah, did you bring me the water, right? Fantastic. Did you bring me the water, right? Maybe you're sitting down in a restaurant, the waiter is busy with a lot of different things, right? And you don't have water at your table. Did you bring me the water, right?
Yeah.
Or did you
Okay.
bring
Yes.
water, right? Yeah, fantastic. And how would you say, I think you started saying did you pass also, right? And then you corrected yourself. How would you
Yeah.
use if you wanted to say pass, like maybe you're at the table, you want somebody to pass you something, what
Yeah.
word would we use for that? How would we make that
And
request?
did you pass the salt?
Did you pass the salt, right? So would you say did you pass if you want the salt yourself, or would you use another word if you want some salt?
Would you pass me the salt?
Exactly. Would you pass me the salt? Could you pass me the salt? Right?
Yeah.
Would you or could you? In normal conversation, people use both really, you know, in people use both similarly, right? So just like we saw could you please show me how to get there? Would you please show me how to get there? People use that in normal conversation all the time, right? But I think it's a little bit better to use could, just because then we are absolutely sure that we're being very polite, right? Could you please pass me the salt, right? Or would you please pass me the salt? Would you please help me? Could you please help me, right? They both work very similarly. Um, any questions, guys, now that we're all here? Any other questions on these constructions so far?
And when you say could or would, and you show me how to get there, and you say that it's better to use would?
It's better to use could, actually.
Could.
It's better to use could. We hear both in normal conversation all the time. They are interchangeable, right? They are
It's more
really are
polite.
interchangeable. They're both polite, but could for me has a little bit higher degree of politeness. Because would, you're really kind of saying, actually, no, I'm not going to go there because it's going to be very confusing. But yeah, either one works, but could, if you can, is a lot better, right? Just in terms of me, when I hear it, I like it more, right? No other questions, guys?
No questions.
Okay.
No.
Okay, fantastic, guys. Thank you. So now the next part was, we have excuse me that we used before questions, right? I think you guys have understood that. Excuse me at the beginning of the sentence, and usually please at the end of a sentence, right? That's how we create these phrases. And then, last but not least, guys, the most polite way to start a sentence is if you say, would you mind, right? Would you mind closing the door? Would you mind showing me how to go to the bus station? Excuse me, guys. Excuse me. I think early morning. Yeah, early morning. I think it's a little chilly here, right? So, could you or would you mind showing me something, right? Would you mind doing something for me? Would you mind passing me the salt, right? So this, once again, guys, these would and could and would you mind, right? These are all, regardless of, these all are in the present, really, right? Would you mind passing something? Would you mind helping me, right? The did was the one example of a past tense, right? So an action needs to happen, an action needs to have happened in the past or not happened in the past, right? So with Ken, we saw, did you bring the water, right? Somebody didn't bring the water, so he asked, did you bring the water, right? So did is past, and all these other examples are present, right? Would you mind? So, Servit, would you mind starting and giving us an example of a sentence with would you mind?
Maybe in this case. Ken, would you mind telling us how to make noodles?
Would you mind telling us how to make noodles, right? And you're asking Ken, right? Fantastic. Ken, would you mind telling us how to make noodles, right?
Yeah.
And then, Ken, what would be your response?
Polite response.
Yeah, polite. Well, it could
Yeah.
be, yeah, it could be polite response, I guess. That'd be good.
Uh, my pleasure. Of
My,
course, my pleasure.
of course, my pleasure, right? Fantastic, right? That's how we make a very, very polite response, right? Ken, would you mind teaching me or showing me how to make noodles? Of course, my pleasure, right? Awesome, awesome. Ken, why don't you ask Servet a question using would you mind?
Mhm. Uh, would you mind telling me uh, how to cook Turkish ice cream?
Turkish
Sorry.
ice cream. Oh, of course. But I personally should learn it first.
I should learn it first. Fantastic, fantastic. That's a great response. Just for fun, Ken, if you want to see what Turkish ice cream looks like, you can go on
Ah,
Google and you can look up
yeah. I
dondurma.
know. Yeah,
It's
because
beautiful. I love it.
yeah,
I love that
yes,
too.
yes.
Don't
I
do
love
it.
that.
Dondurma, yeah.
Mm.
It's they have it everywhere in Turkey. These guys they stand by the side of the street and they do tricks. They have like a big spoon that they roll that there's an ice cream. The ice cream is in these containers. They have a
Yeah.
big Maraş dondurması. Yeah, you're right. You're right. So then you see these guys with these big spoons. They get the ice cream and then they play with the kids, right? They bring the spoon close to the kid's face. Then they take it away. Then they give it and they take it away. And it's so funny. They do it to everybody. They did it to me, and I'm not a kid, right? So if they see foreigners, they say, "Come, come, come," and then they play games with the ice cream. Really, really funny. Very funny group. So fantastic, guys. Eka, would you mind asking Liliana a question using "Would you mind"?
Mhm. Would you?
Lil,
Sorry.
Yes.
Go
To
ahead.
class.
Question.
uh, did uh, did you mean Ken or me?
Oh, I meant Eka. Eka, sorry, not Ken.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, Ken.
Liliana, would you mind cook me some food for dinner?
Uh, hmm. There is no option. Okay, I do it.
Oh man, that wasn't a very polite response. But
No,
that's good.
of course I'll do it.
Of course, I will do it, right? Fantastic. Of course, I will do it. So, Liliana, why don't you ask a question? Would you mind asking a question using would you mind to Eka?
Okay. Would you mind turning off the heating, please, because it's uh, it's it's too hot here.
Sure, I will turn it off now.
Fantastic, fantastic, right? Would you mind turning off the heating because it's too hot here, right? Great, great, great. So, any questions, guys, about polite questions?
Yes.
Yes.
When you talk to your friends or your family, do you usually say or ask them with polite questions?
When I have friends and family, not really, not really, because I can be very frank with them, very normal, and just myself. I can be myself with them, right? If I was talking to my sister, for example, I would not be polite, right? I mean, I would not be super polite. I would just be normal, right? Can you please close the door? Can you please whatever? Please and excuse me, you can use with anybody, right? Those are actually, I mean, if you add please to a sentence, even for family, I think that's common, right? Can you please help me, right? But the would you mind stuff, no, I don't use that with family, right?
For
That's
example,
yeah. hmm
yes, would you mind at the office?
Yeah, at the office, it depends on your relationship with your colleagues, right?
Uh-huh.
You might be very close to some colleagues and you might not, you can be very, very, very normal with them, right? But for example, if it's your boss,
Uh-huh.
then you probably want to use would you mind, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. Good
How about
question.
for teachers?
For teachers, so really depends once again on the relationship, right? Here in the US, we tend to not respect our teachers very much,
No.
right? We tend to not respect our teachers, yeah, because it's, I mean, well, professors we respect, but in high school, children are very rude to their teachers, right? On average, I mean, they're very rude to their teachers. Depends on the school, depends on the children, but across the board, society does not have high respect for teachers, right? So, you know, kids are sometimes even yelling at teachers and all sorts of stuff, right? But yeah, when I was a kid, or when I was a student, I definitely tried to be as polite as possible, right? So, you know, would you mind is very, very formal, right? I mean, even for like the teachers, I think it's a little formal. So we use, for example, could you please, right? Would you please? Those kinds of words are much more common.
And when for example, when your boss, if you say an order, it's a polite way to ask you for something. Will you please, sorry, would you mind sending this email or something like this?
Yeah, would you mind sending this email? Would you mind helping me with something, right? Yeah, those are perfectly fine for a boss, right? And once again, really it depends on the relationship, guys, because some bosses are very, very approachable, very nice people, and you can be very frank with them, right? Maybe you guys know each other, maybe you guys have, you know, hung out before restaurants and you came to each other's homes, you know. It's a more casual relationship. You can be more casual, absolutely.
Okay.
If I was talking to Obama, then I would definitely use, you know, be as polite as possible, right? Because I haven't talked to him recently. Yeah. So actually, I've never talked to him. I'm just joking. So I've seen him, but I have not talked to him, right?
Wow.
So any other questions, guys, about these polite questions?
No, this.
No.
Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Great, guys. So let's take a look at the article then. So in the article we have, we are talking about environmentalists in Indonesia, actually. So Indonesia is a country where we see a lot of contrasts, right? I like to compare Indonesia to Brazil, actually, in some instances, even though there is, you know, one nation and it's very large. There seem to be a lot of differences in terms of inequality and the environment and things like that. So in Indonesia, we have a situation where they are noticing that there's a disaster, an environmental disaster has begun in Indonesia, right? So if we take a look at this article, it's from the New York Times. I'm going to paste the link right here, and we can go ahead and I'm going to screen share so we can all look at it. So in Indonesia, what is happening? In Indonesia, environmentalists see a disaster in the making, right? Kalul village, Indonesia. Near a palm oil plantation here, bulldozers and chainsaws can be heard in what is officially protected forest. The hilly terrain is not ideal for large-scale agriculture, but with few areas left for expansion, the loggers are denuding the land anyway. What does it mean to denude something, guys?
To make it free from something, denuding the land. Probably they are cutting the trees.
Exactly, absolutely. Denuding something is to make something naked, right? You are making something naked, right? You are denuding it. So you are making it without something. You are removing something from it. In this case, trees, absolutely. So they're cutting down the trees, right? Aceh. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I have a question for this word.
Yes.
Can I use the word denude with my wife?
No. You would say if you're talking about, would you want the verb or would you want the actual adjective?
I want the verb.
The verb, right?
For example, if I want to take her clothes off, can I say I will denude you?
No. In that case, for people, we would say undress.
Oh, undress. Okay.
Undress, yeah. For people, we would say undress, right? Denude is actually kind of a very rare verb. I didn't notice it before. It's kind of a very formal conversation verb also, right? So we would use denude for, we would use undress for situations involving people. Absolutely. Right. So Aceh, the northern province on the Indonesian island of Sumatra, is a region made famous by separatist conflict and natural disasters, calamities that long held back economic development but helped preserve one of the world's richest ecosystems. So this region in Indonesia, Aceh, has a lot of beautiful, ecosystems. Now, conservationists say the rapid clearing of virgin forest is paving the way for environmental catastrophe, turning critically endangered orangutans, tigers, and elephants into refugees and triggering landslides and flash floods. Much of the current activity is illegal, they say, but if a land use plan proposed by Aceh's governor, Zaini Abdullah, is approved by the national government, currently protected forests could be rezoned as production forests, paving the way for logging, palm oil, and mining concessions. The Aceh government argues that the change is needed to develop the local economy. They are very eager to build new roads and open up forests, said Muhammad Zulfikar of the Indonesian Forum for Environment, or WALHI, a non-governmental organization opposed to the governor's plan. The government must see things not only from a political or investment point of view. What would be the point of investing if it only leads to natural disaster in the future? So this next stuff is actually very technical, but I want to go down to the paragraph that starts with Indonesia has one of the world's fastest, okay? Indonesia has one of the world's fastest rates of deforestation, much of it to make way for palm oil plantations. From 1990 to 2010, 20% of the forest area was lost, according to a report by the United Nations. In 2010, President Susilo Bambang Yudhoyono declared a freeze on new logging concessions as a part of a deal with Norway, which agreed to pay Indonesia up to $1 billion for progress towards reducing deforestation. In May, Mr. Yudhoyono extended the ban to 2015. But critics note that the moratorium applies only to new concessions, while weak governance and a complex structure of forest management leave nominally protected areas open to exploitation. Right. I think that's a good place to stop, right? The rest of the article is kind of long. But what do we see here with the issue of deforestation, guys? Moratorium. Okay, so Echo, what do you think moratorium means?
Usually moratorium means, for example, the student after the graduation, some students have a moratorium time. But in that context,
yeah. So really, moratorium is in a legal context or in a government context, it means that when you freeze something or you say, for example, that some activity that was happening will now no longer happen. Right? So for example, they say, like a few years ago in the United States, there was a moratorium on the death penalty. Okay? Which means that everybody who was on death row is how we say, for example, when a criminal is sentenced to death, they are on death row, right? They are waiting to be killed. So the moratorium on the death penalty meant that all of these people that were on death row were now no longer on death row. Their sentence was life in prison, not death row, right? So the moratorium stopped that action. It stopped the death penalty for about, I think, 15 years, and then now we're back. The moratorium was lifted, so we are killing people again. Texas is killing, I think, like one person a day, actually. Texas has a very high rate of capital punishment of the death sentence. So yeah, moratorium, when you freeze something or stop something from happening, right? Fantastic. So what do you guys think about this article about the deforestation that's going on in Indonesia? Does it surprise you that money is the reason for the loss of the environment?
No.
actually, yeah, it is happening other parts of the world too.
Uh-huh. And what makes this a special situation, though, I think, based on what we see here, Servet, what was interesting to read about this article, or what did you find interesting? Even though this is happening in other countries, are there any special things that make Indonesia's situation special?
I guess Indonesia is richer in terms of maybe animal population or other forestation. Maybe
Yeah,
this
right. So
might be
this
another problem.
Yeah,
I don't know.
this one province in Aceh, they're saying is very, very rich, right? And also, Servet, what kind of plant or what industry are they doing in Indonesia? Is it really, are they doing it for the trees or are they doing it for some other kind of industry?
I don't remember the spot. I need to check.
Uh-huh. No problems. Do you guys remember? Maybe we can help him out.
Oil
Yes.
palm plantation.
Yeah, palm oil, right? Palm oil.
Palm oil.
What is palm oil, guys?
Uh,
Mm,
it's is the tree that produce oils, and most countries in Southeast
Mhm.
Asia use it to fry food,
mm,
So it's
to
used for
cook food.
food. Okay.
Yes,
Mhm.
that's
I had
right.
no idea. I thought maybe it was used on your skin, like
and
palm oil, olive oil,
Mhm.
yeah,
Oh,
and the
no, no.
detergent as well.
and a detergent also. Okay. So is it very popular in Southeast Asia?
Yes, because it's cheaper than soy oil or corn oil.
Ah, okay. So people use it to cook food and also for as a use as a detergent, right? So uh, what about you, Liliana? What do you think about this article? Or what do you have any questions about
Um,
why this is happening?
Something similar happened here, and they use some lands only to plant this palm oil, and there was a discuss about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, because for example, there in Indonesia, they it's so bad to the animals because it produces a deforestation, so
Mm-hmm.
they have to protect the wild animals like tigers and elephant.
Uh-huh.
Uh, and I think if the human invade their territories, they could die. So
Uh-huh.
it's important to have an organization uh, with maybe with other countries could help to protect the fauna. How do you say that?
Yeah, fauna is what we use in English also. So
Fauna.
fauna is for animals, and flora is for plants, right? So we say flora and fauna. But in this case, we could say the animals. I think it's a little bit better.
The animals. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm. Yeah,
right.
because I
So,
think sorry, it happens
no, it's fine.
also in Brazil, and there is an organization promoted by some musicians
Mm-hmm.
or celebrities,
Mm-hmm.
and they join their efforts to protect the Amazon rainforest
Mm-hmm.
to avoid the deforestation. This
Yeah, right. So it's something that is really, I think, it's causing a lot of issues, right? It's causing a lot of
mm,
issues for people. How would you, so in the last 2 minutes, guys, I just wanted to practice polite questions one last time. If your life depended on, or let's say you are an international country, right? You are representing some environmental group or an international country. How could you ask the government of Indonesia? Like we read in the article that Norway applied pressure to Indonesia, and the president extended the moratorium until 2015, right? So another 2 more years, supposedly there should be no deforestation in Indonesia, but it's still happening, right? So how would you, maybe as the president of Colombia, Thailand, Japan, and Turkey, how would you guys give pressure to the government of Indonesia? So let's start with Servet on the left.
Uh, would you mind considering finding maybe new areas to plant palm oil trees? palm trees instead of cutting those trees.
Fantastic, fantastic. Would you mind considering planting palm trees in a in different locations or in a different area than this area? Fantastic, fantastic. Would you mind considering? Very, very, very polite. Great job, Sarah. Ken, what about you?
Would you mind considering what's going to happen after the deforestation?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, right? Absolutely. And what's maybe we can maybe even focus on, would you mind considering the money you will lose after deforestation,
Yeah, that's very persuasive. Yes.
right? Because, well, no, it's what you said was very, very, very polite also, but I think money makes governments listen a little bit more.
Yeah, because the government claim because of the local economy,
Uh-huh.
they are doing so. So it kind
Yeah,
of persuasive for them. Yeah.
absolutely. And Eka, how would you pressure the government of Indonesia? You're a fellow Southeast Asian, or you can talk to them much more intimately than us, right?
Yeah. Would you mind caring about the environment and your people more than the money?
Wow, yeah. Would you mind caring about the environment and your people more than money, right?
Yeah.
That's a direct approach. That's
Yes.
good. It's very polite, but it's direct also, right?
Yeah.
And last but not least, Liliana, what would you say?
And would you mind stopping? Can I say stopping?
Yeah, sure, you can say stopping, yeah.
The cultivation of oil palm and plantation and protect the environment.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic, fantastic. I like all those examples, right? Palm oil really seems to be the enemy here, right? But a lot of money um, also at stake, I'm sure. So, guys, unfortunately, we are at the end of class. I have to start another class. But did we have any questions about the polite questions or about the stuff we looked at in this article?
No, I don't.
No. All is clear.
Alrighty. Awesome, guys. Well, I have another class now. You guys are welcome to join. Otherwise, have a great rest of the day, and I'll see you guys soon.
Thank you
Thank
very
Thank you
much.
for the
Thank
lesson.
You.
Nice
Yeah.
to meet you guys.
Yeah, take care,
Bye,
guys.
everyone.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Yes, it's a good day. Pretty clear sky, hot, warm day. And I'm here studying. That's cool.
Nice, nice. That's great.
How about your day?
Yeah, everything here is good as well. Just learning a lot about different things and working hard. Nothing different. Nothing different from that. So yeah. Let's see. I wanted to ask you guys. So today's lesson, we are going to be looking at environmentalist problems throughout the world, right? So many times we see environmentalists that encounter different types of issues when they see that the environments are under threat or different things are happening to different environments. They are very keen to report on those things.
Of them as possible in one day.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think making a big task into smaller tasks is a lot easier. They actually, I think, teach that to people who learn about the most efficient way to finish work. So it's good. I'm glad you like it. Or
Yeah.
I'm glad you have a plan, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah. And let's see, did somebody else join?
Yes,
Yes.
we have
Hey.
surveyed.
Hey, Servet, how's it going?
It's going okay. How about you? Hi, Ek. Hi, hello.
Hi, surveyed.
Hi, welcome again.
Yeah.
Good to see you.
Nasılsınız Servet?
İyiyiz efendim. Yes.
Ben de efendim. Ben de iyiyim efendim. Evet. We are speaking Turkish, Eka. I speak a little bit of Turkish, so I wanted to practice with Servet.
Okay.
Yeah. It's good to see you again, Servet. How's life in Istanbul?
It's pretty good.
On some work, otherwise, and besides that, things have been really good. So I was just saying, Liliana, about the idea of polite questions in English. When we use polite questions, there are several rules, several keywords. There's a formula to creating a polite question in English. So I want to actually start out by asking you guys. Let's imagine that you are in a restaurant. How would you order something at a restaurant? So let's start with Servet, please.
Mm. You can just say, "Excuse me, may I have some drink, or may I have this, and this?"
Yeah, exactly right. Excuse me, to get your attention, or to get the waiter's attention, and then you can say, "May I please have, this drink, A, B, C, D," right? Fantastic. Eka, how would you say let's say
Yes.
yeah, that's awesome. Uh, how's life?
I have lots of things to do at work, but I could figure something out before I went home today. So hopefully I can finish all the work that I have left to meet the deadline, which is next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday. Wow, so not that far away, right? Just a couple of
Yes,
days.
yes, just 2 days.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. How do you manage deadlines? Do you just try to finish as much as possible in one day, or do you divide up your days? Like, I will finish this and this by today, that and that by tomorrow. Is that how you do it? Or
I usually divide all of my tasks in lots of small tasks, and I try to finish as many.
and um, they usually make a big deal about whatever threat the environment is going under, right? So, and I think environmental threats happen in most countries, or at least most people have ideas about what that means. We are also, at the same time, as we look at that, we are going to be practicing our polite questions. So, when we make questions in English, we want to make sure that we have a nice and respectful way that we ask them in a nice and respectful way. And there are usually some key things that we can look to when we do that, right? So um, I wanted to start out by doing that actually. How would we? Oh, okay, let's see. Liliana just joined. Hey, Liliana, how's it going?
Hi, Farhan. Farhan, is that the way I pronounce? All is going good. Thank you.
Great,
How's the
great.
day going?
Things are great. Things are great. I am just working.